So, as of late, there's been a decent amount of Coinbase mentalism kind of in vogue. The 1914 Ed Hot, Lewis Laval's not long put out Fate, and I thought after the Witch Hand Strength Test little quick idea video that I filmed the other week, maybe it'd be a fun idea to film a video based around coin-based mentalism. So I've came on a little walk today. I'm gonna throw a few ideas around in my head, and then we'll see if I can get a solid little routine by the time I'm back home. And I'll talk you through some of the ideas that I have whilst I'm out and about, what kind of approach I take to it. Obviously this video comes with the caveat that whatever I do end up coming up with is not going to be polished, it's not going to be pretty. It is just going to be a quick idea, but hopefully it'll be something that you can actually use in some way, or even just build upon and evolve outwards. And if you have any ideas about what you would do with it, then please let me know in the comments or in the Discord, or give me a message, and we'll see if there is anything at all that even comes close to a approachable, accessible routine that you can do. There are a few things to think about first, one of which is, does this use a gimmicked coin, a prop coin of some kind, or could it be performed with a completely borrowed coin from the participant, from a spectator? Let's have a little think, shall we? So after walking around for another hour and a half or so, grabbing some food and getting a few drinks, I realised that I wanted to do something to do with probability. I wanted something that actually had some randomness. So no gimmicked coins, no props, a coin that can be borrowed straight from the layman, and it has nothing to do with the routine. And I wanted it to be based around the outcome of multiple coin tosses. 3 coin tosses made by the spectator, not influenced whatsoever. And so if I was to do a prediction routine based around this, it would need multiple outs. And there are many different ways I could do this. What I wanted to do was combine a few different ways. So if you have 3 coin tosses, it could land on heads, it could land on tails. There are 8 variables that cover every possible outcome. It could be heads, 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 or it could be tails, tails, tails. Or it could be heads, tails, 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 heads, heads, tails, tails, heads, etc., etc. There are 8 possible outcomes, and I started trying to think, how would I accomplish this? So first of all, the outcomes that involve the coin toss landing on the same side every single time, so heads, 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 and tails, 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 I could separate those 2 outcomes. I could isolate them. They could be in the form of a double-sided envelope, or even just one billet with HHH written on one side and TTT written on the other side. So if we isolate that option for the time being, that leaves 6 other possible outcomes. And all of this is just part of the routine, because I would want it to be something that is a little bit bigger than just predicting an outcome. And obviously there is no story to this yet, there is no plot, there is very little presentation. But the 2 options, where it's the same side every time for all 3 coin tosses, can be pushed aside and isolated for now. So there are 6 other outcomes that there could possibly be. And what I needed to do was find a way to remember these 6 outcomes, in order to remember these 6 outcomes that made sense and that I could recall, whether it was to grab that prediction from an index or some other means. What I am thinking of using at the moment, what I've tested, is the Timed Out app by Mark Kirstein. You can download this for free. It is brilliant. I use it all the time. Essentially what this allows you to do is to have up to 6 possible predictions or outcomes, and depending on the way that you lift up your phone, depending on the timing of when you lift it up, and there is an indicator to show you when you should lift it up to get whatever outcome you want. You can have basically 6 photos on your phone, or 6 drawings, or whatever it is that you want, and whenever you lift up your phone, it will be on the screen the one that you want showing, the one that you want visible. I won't go too much into how it works. It's very, very simple, very, very basic. So that is a way that I could deliver the 6 other possible outcomes, the ones that aren't just heads, 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 or tails, tails, tails. So the initial presentation idea for this would be, I put my phone down on a table and I say, I have a prediction here. Now, whatever outcome they get based on the 3 coin tosses that they're about to make, if it is one where it's all mixed, I know I'm going to lift up my phone and show them that I predicted it correctly. If it is heads, 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 or tails, 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 then what I'm going to do is open the back case of my phone that I've tapped and said, here's the prediction. Open the back case. Inside is a double-sided envelope. The top will be heads. The bottom will be tails. So I know that I can get to any outcome doing that. But how do I remember the order of each possible outcome? I went through a couple of different ways that you could do this, some involving binary. I was speaking to Rich Relish about it, and he suggested recording the number of straight lines in heads and tails and making a system based around that. Some really cool ideas thrown about, and the simplest idea that I landed on is we're only going to track and remember the location of one coin, and that is whatever the odd one out is. So if you were to flip a coin 3 times, tails, heads, tails, the odd coin out is heads, and it's in the 2nd position. So that would be number 2 in my order, because heads comes first and then tails comes second. So I'll put it up on screen here so you can see, but essentially it's just going to be the order of the odd coin out, and the first 3 are heads, the last 3 are tails. So it's just 1st position, heads, 2nd position, heads, 3rd position, heads, 1st position, tails, 2nd position, tails, 3rd position, tails. And this, to me, seems like the easiest way to group these multiple outs into an order that can be very easily remembered. If I do it again, tails, tails, heads. So that is the odd coin out is heads, and it is in the 3rd position, so I know that's number 3. If the odd coin out was tails and it was the same order that it came out then, I know that would be in position 6. Hopefully that makes sense so far. Very, very simple way to predict the outcome with an ungimmicked coin, a borrowed coin. And all you have to do is put your phone face down on the table, tap it and say, I have a prediction here. But we can do a little bit better than that. There is a secondary idea that I have that involves a force. So we're combining true randomness and a force to create something that really does seem impossible. And I'm going to go into that now. So here's how you take what is just a multiple out effect and make it something a little bit more interesting. Combine it with an actual force. And it can be whatever you want. If you want it to be a psych force or something like that, that's fine. A playing card force, a country force, a name force, whatever it is. I'm going to use the example of tarot just because for me, I'm into the more mystical side of things, and I like the idea of this effect being something that is a little bit more mystical. That's just me, but you present it however you want. So if we enter this effect knowing full well that we are going to force a card upon them, we're going to talk about fate, whether or not they think we can tell who they are as a person based on the cards that they're drawn towards or the cards that they choose at random. And then whatever kind of force you want to make, whether it is a cross-cut force, whether it is a Hindu shuffle, whether you use some playing card moves, whatever it is you're doing, you're all more than capable of forcing a card in any way, shape or form, and they end up on the sun. It gets lost back into the deck and you say, that makes sense that you chose the sun. And before I came here, before I met with you, I actually made a prediction, but whether you choose to believe me or not is another question. I wrote a prediction down before I came out, but there's one more thing I want to test before I show you this prediction. And I would place my phone down on the table and tap it, and I'd ask them if they had a coin. And they can look at the coin, they can inspect it, it's their coin, it's borrowed. And in the presentation you can ask questions about fate, you can ask questions about free will, you can ask if they believe in the ability to predict the outcome of the future, and tell them to toss the coin in the air 3 times. And remember how it landed each time. So they go through this process, and then you either show your phone screen or you open up the back of your phone. And written on it is, when I meet up with my friend, I think they will be drawn towards the sun card. There is a sense of abundance and strength around them, as if they've just reached the dawn of a particularly bad night. They're entering a new phase of optimism and hope in their life. And underneath this prediction, there are 3 coins that predict the outcome of the coin toss they have just made. Now, obviously, you can do this any way you want. You can write down in a notebook, my friend will choose the Sun Tarot card. And then underneath in the notebook, you can place 3 coins to show all 6 possible outcomes. You take a picture of each of them, and then you load that into the Timed Out app, and you're able to use it as a multiple out so that the photo you need is saved into your actual phone album. And just a quick note, obviously if it's only heads, 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 or tails, 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 you would just have a blank card that shows this in the back of your phone, whatever way you want to do it. Or you could have a note that just says all 3 outcomes of the coin toss will be the same and you will be drawn to the Sun card. That way you only need 1 out in the back of your phone. So mixed with the single force that is always going to be the same is this extra bit of randomness that just doesn't make sense to someone. Okay, maybe individually they could grasp the concept of each of them. That card was somehow forced on me, or somehow the outcome of that coin toss was maybe influenced, or they've just got all the options somewhere. When they work together, a force and a multiple out, it makes the whole effect much more rounded, much harder to break down and backtrack. And then, of course, if you combine this with reading and any other kind of mystical stuff that you enjoy, you can make this experience feel actually magical. Anyway, that's the idea. Hope you enjoy. And if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me, message me, email me. In fact, I might end up making this one public on YouTube, just because it's a flash in the pan, quick kind of idea from today. So if you've liked this idea, if you enjoy this kind of magic and mentalism, check out jakekeen.com, where you can find a link to the Real Underground membership, where there is a lot more stuff like this.